And we are live. Let me just confirm if we are live. 1 minute. Okay, yeah, we are live. Hey everybody. Super nice to be here. My name is Shedrack. I can tell you I work at Isovalent at Cisco as a technical marketing engineer. And today I will be your host. I am with Ondrej today. Ondrej is from Seznam, and today we would be having a discussion around how Seznam is utilizing Cilium. Ondrej, do you want to give a short introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey, hi everyone. I'm Andre. I work in an infrastructure team in Seznam company based in Czech Republic. Pretty much we manage the infrastructure and do load balancing, and having fun with Cilium.
Nice. Thanks once again for doing this. So before we get into the whole, the agenda for the day, there are a bunch of notes that I want to share, especially for events that we have. So the eBPF summit is once again coming back. It's happening online at the 11th of September 2024, and there's also a CFP which you can apply until the 17th of July. There's also an application for if you feel like you want to join the program committee. Like these are the folks that decide the kind of schedule that we have at ABPF Summit, and you believe that you have like very extensive production experience with ABPF. Then please help the community and submit your application, and we would reach out if you made the cut. Also, for at KubeCon NA this year, we are also having the Seznam and EPF Day. If you follow the community a lot, we had something similar. We had Seznam and eBPF Day at KubeCon EU, so we will also be having Seznam and eBPF Day happening on the 12th of November as a KubeCon collocated event, and the CFP is also happening on the 14th of July. So that's like majority of the CFPs that are open right now in the Seznam community. If you want to submit, if you need any help with your CFP, you can reach out to myself or Bill Mulligan. We are always happy to help out with CFPs and or reviewing CFPs in general. So with that, let's just go into the agenda for today. Hi Joseph, thanks for joining. So today we are going to be speaking about how Seznam is using Cilium. I believe Seznam is one of them using Cilium in a very advanced way, and Andre will be talking to us about it. I've seen a couple of talks on how Seznam is using Cilium, and today Andre will be breaking it down for us. So my first question for you, Andre, is can you tell us about what Seznam does as a company?
Yeah, sure. So it's like a media company with focus on technology. You can say kind of like a very small Google with our own maps and email and streaming, online TV services, news, stuff like that. So overall, private cloud on-prem, based with 99% of users in Czech Republic.
I see. So you're primarily based in Czech Republic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so people outside the Czech Republic cannot use your product, or it's a global
Yeah,
company?
they can, but probably if they don't speak Czech language, it's gonna be kind of hard.
I
but
see.
we have like translations at least for the maps. That's for sure. You can. I mean, I know quite a few people that use our maps as the application for the phones, and they can easily use it outside of Czech. Yeah, if
I see.
possible.
Okay, that makes sense. So I know Seznam has been using Cilium for a while. Can you tell me like how long Seznam have been using Cilium?
Quite a long. I mean, if you remember the Cilium release 1.10, I don't know if it was more than two years ago.
Yeah.
So shortly after that release, we started with the first first Cilium, yeah, in production. That was the layer 4 load balancer.
I
That was the
see.
first one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. We'll go deeper into that.
Okay.
So like currently, like what does your like IT infrastructure look like? Like I know, you have a really really large suite of products. So of course your infrastructure is going to be very complex. So can you like walk us through your current infrastructure, maybe data centers, like your servers, like all of that setup.
Yeah. So as I said, we have our own data centers with our own hardware, with approximately now it's more than 10,000 bare metal hosts, which is divided into like multiple clusters, either Kubernetes on bare metal, usually OpenStack as the first layer, and then Kubernetes on top of OpenStack. Some of the services are running on the bare metal directly. So yeah, pretty much everything is on-prem, which means you kind of need to do the load balancing and manage everything from scratch, which includes like the networking layer with BGP and L3 network, which was it was the switch to L3. It was approximately 10 years ago when we switched to L3.
I
Before
see.
that, that was like L2 based networking.
I
Yeah.
see. So like majority of your infrastructure is on OpenStack, right?
Yes, basically, yeah.
Or your so you probably be running Cilium on OpenStack and then on Kubernetes.
Yeah, both. Exactly.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. Okay, we'll go into
That's
that.
the fun part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fun part. That's why I wanted to clarify because I know that it's gonna be very interesting. Okay, so before bringing Cilium into your infrastructure, what challenge did you have that made you want to look for something different? Like what challenges were you experiencing?
Yeah, mostly it was the cost of the classic hardware load balancing solutions. So initially we've been using the F5 load balancer, which was the hardware based one, where you would need to pay like a fee every year to be able to use it to get updates. And we wanted something else. We wanted to manage it ourselves, to have a like better understanding, to see the actual code, so with F5 it was a black box where you just you had to like trust the company that everything will work correctly, but you wouldn't be able to see what's happening deep down. So we're looking for better solutions, and then we switched over to IPVS, which is like a Linux virtual machine running in the Linux kernel, which was fine, but uh, it consumed a lot of like CPU resources with our production traffic. So it was good that it was free. Anybody can use that.
Yeah.
It's been there in the Linux kernel since like long time ago. I don't even remember the first kernel that had it, but we were quite fine for a while with IPVS, but it was like CPU consuming quite a lot. So we were looking for better solutions, and it was the Cilium 1.10 which opened our eyes.
I see. I see. So like initially a lot of the things you had were like you were using the F5 load balancer,
Mhm.
then you moved to IPVS to like see if that was going to solve your problem, but still was not the performance was not great, right? Still
Yes,
wasn't.
yeah. I mean, it was fine for a while, but pretty soon we started to see we have like lots of services, external ones and also the internal ones, and a lot of them are just sending like very short packets with a small amount of bytes, which means a lot of interrupts are happening in the Linux kernel, which are pretty CPU, you know, quite consuming quite a lot of CPUs. So that was the bottleneck for us, basically the CPUs. We need to add a lot of machines to handle the amount of our production traffic, and you just couldn't scale like to infinite number of nodes.
Of nodes, yeah.
We had to find a way how to like put it down. Yeah.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of problem. So you had an issue. You had like issues with like your existing setup. You had issues with the F5 load balancer. You had issues with the IPVS. So while you're looking for a new solution, like I mean, you needed to find a solution. What were you looking for in a solution, particularly?
Yeah, particularly we wanted to keep the same functionality. So we wanted to with IPVS we were using the maglev algorithm
Yeah.
for how to distribute traffic between the nodes, and with the new solutions we wanted to keep the same one. So we initially wanted to replace, for example, just 1/3 of the production traffic, or replace 1/3 of our nodes with the new solution to see if everything works, and like slowly replace it all, which ended up what we did. Yeah. So we after a while where we were using just let's say half of the production nodes were using the new solution, and half of them were using the old solution. Then we soon replaced it all with the new solution from Cilium. Yeah.
I see. So like a very key part of like your requirements was that it should be, you should be able to use the maglev algorithm, because you
Mhm.
already using it, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense to try to migrate from that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So right now, like what does your current team structure look like? Like how many people are working on your OpenStack
Mhm.
infrastructure? Like, what's the strength of your team right now?
Yeah, so basically we have like divisions. One is like infrastructure team, and the rest are like the developers. Uh, the programmers that are developing the services, all the external ones, and we do the infrastructure. So within the infrastructure team, we are talking about like 20, 30, maybe 40 people if we count like really everybody.
Everybody,
But
yeah.
the core part with the Kubernetes, OpenStack, and the load balancing team, yeah, we're talking about 20 people.
Ah, nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made Cilium the best choice? Like I know you've touched a bit on this, like you needed to be able to use the maglev algorithm, but like
Mhm.
what made Cilium the best choice? And did you also look at any other solutions, like before choosing Cilium? Like what was the thought process?
Yeah, sure. So we initially had like three possible solutions. One was the GLB from GitHub. Second one was the Catran load balancer, and the third one was Cilium. And Cilium won because of the simplicity. Basically, it's we've when the standalone XDP layer for load balancer was released, that was like that was it. It was the like direct replacement for IPVS. It can run like standalone without etcd, without Kubernetes API.
Yeah,
You can just like you can deploy it on your own machine. Anywhere is fine, as long as it runs, for example, in a Docker. We run it in a Docker because it's released as a Docker image. You can just run it anywhere you want, and the good thing about this is the upper, well, the user space part, which configures the data path, which is written in a Go, as the rest of Cilium agent is
yeah.
the main Cilium component, and we were pretty happy about it because we knew at that point we already knew Go, and that was pretty beneficial. So it might be the fact that decided that Cilium is the right choice.
Ah, I see. That makes a lot of sense. So one more question, like aside for like load balancing and what else, what other reason, like what other thing do you use Cilium for?
Well, currently it's we use that as a Kubernetes CNI, of course,
Yeah.
but also now as the OpenStack networking layer. So not strictly for the whole networking, but mostly for the security part. So initially we used when, like a lot of years back, when we moved over from L2 networking to L3, we started with Calico. Calico was at that time, Calico was like probably the solution number one to go for if you wanted to have like the same networking layer in Kubernetes and also in OpenStack. We had both. Some developer teams, ran databases in OpenStack. Some teams run purely in Kubernetes, but our developers wanted both. So at that time, the Calico was the good choice, and with Cilium, we saw the benefits. I mean, for me personally, the biggest one is the label-based identities, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we loved that, and we were looking on how we can make this happening also in OpenStack, because previously with OpenStack, when you wanted to secure your traffic going through your database, for example, the thing you had was like security groups, which is in the back, it's IP tables rules, right? So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
talking about IP addresses, CIDRs, subnets, and you don't want you don't want to use
Yeah.
that.
You don't want to do
I
with
mean,
that. Yeah.
if you can use labels, why would you ever go back to like CIDRs, subnets?
Yeah. The
It doesn't
trenches.
make sense. Yeah. So
I see.
that's what happened. Yeah.
Oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So like, do you still have like Calico within your systems?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And it's all because our developer teams are pretty big. The whole setup, all the services are huge and have been running there for a lot of years consistently. And it takes time. Even a small change in your application logic can take some time to develop a new one, and to migrate from one cluster to another. It's not always that fast, and it takes time.
Yeah.
And usually, as it happens, developers don't have time to
Yeah.
do the thing they don't want to do. They are happy as long as everything works. They're super happy. And
Yeah.
why would you
Don't
ever?
touch it if it works. Don't touch it if it
Yeah,
works.
why would you migrate somewhere else if everything works?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
like how do you make Calico work with Cilium and the OpenStack? Like is there like some mechanism that's helping those two CNIs work together?
Yeah. So our solution was to migrate everything to Cilium in the end. It's it's still going to take some time, but at the end we want Cilium running everywhere if it works. uh, but yeah, pretty much we would like to maintain just one thing, to understand it, to fix if something doesn't work, and to make it work. We like to make it work together, and ideally so that our users can use just the Cilium network policies with the labels.
Yeah,
We had to like figure out the way to how we can run Cilium. The biggest challenge was to how to run it in OpenStack.
yeah,
And we, as you know, we also implemented a tool that migrates the objects from the Calico world into Cilium
yeah,
world, so
yeah,
that users that are using components in for example Cilium Kubernetes, and they also like to use the label based security, right? So that they can use the same system, the same label based security mechanisms. We implemented a tool that translates the Calico objects, workload endpoints, into Cilium objects, basically Cilium endpoints, and with etcd which you need for the cluster mesh to work.
Yeah. Yes.
The objects are called IP identity pairs. So basically, it's only the IP address of each pod in the Calico world with IP address and also the labels. So like there are, like, I think just the two or three objects that are actually saved in etcd and are needed for the cluster mesh to work properly. That those objects we needed to like somehow create from the Calico objects. So we implemented that so that our users in the Cilium world can understand if somebody from the Calico world is connecting to them. Hey, what's this IP address? Okay, yeah, it has this label, and yeah, it's all the same with the native Cilium CNI in Kubernetes, but we only like fake it with our tool.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That makes So this tool is this tool open source?
Not yet. We just develop it internally, and yeah, we are looking for some for other people if they are interested. Then there is like no point to develop it internally. We would love to like open source it, but there hasn't been like anybody, I guess. Not
Yeah.
yet. Maybe
Yes.
this
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe today is gonna change, but
Yeah. Yeah.
probably we're the only ones who use that in that sense. But
I
yeah,
see.
it
I
might
mean,
take.
I think you should just go for it, right? I mean, the Cilium community is always excited to jump on certain things. So I think
Yeah,
you should
totally.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so let's talk about like Cilium on OpenStack. Like how was your whole experience like implementing Cilium in OpenStack?
I mean, to be honest, it was easy. It was easier than I thought
I like the sound of
initially,
that.
because when we initially were thinking if we can make this work, we were just talking to the Cilium maintainers, to Thomas, and we asked, guys, is it possible to run Cilium in OpenStack? And they were like, sure. I mean, it can work. There's no reason why it shouldn't. And as a matter of fact, it runs pretty in a similar way to the Docker plugin. There is in the Cilium repo, there are like some plugins folder which allows you to run. You can run Docker and connect that to a Cilium, so that there's just like small plugin that watches the Docker events. And in our case, in OpenStack, we have like a Cilium plugin for OpenStack, which watches libvirt events, which is the component that's spawning the VMs in
The virtual
OpenStack.
machines, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's called libvirt, and it emits events. So VM creation, VM update, VM deletion, those are the interesting ones. You can just hook to those events and handle each one by one, and like make it send that to Cilium agent, which can run locally on the same node. So just as in Kubernetes world, you have Cilium daemon set, right?
Yes,
Which
yes,
means
yes.
you have Cilium agent running on each node in the whole cluster. With OpenStack, you also have cluster. You have nodes, which are called hypervisors in OpenStack world, and each of these hypervisors run Cilium agent. On all of those nodes, there is the libvirt, which actually spawns the VMs, and we just inject the plugin between them to intercept the events that VM was created. Okay, let's create Cilium endpoint out of it. And then Cilium agent takes care of like applying the BPF programs on each VM interface, just as it would do in Kubernetes. And it adds roads, and everything works pretty in a very similar way. I mean, there's not that much changes that we had to do in the core Cilium
Cilium, yeah.
repo. Of course, we maintain a few commits which we like have to cherry pick with each release, but those are not very big, so it's manageable.
Okay, sounds really really interesting. So the plugin you use for like running Cilium in OpenStack, is it publicly available, or it's still internal?
No, yeah, that's the same as the tool that converts Calico into Cilium. We also developed that internally, and if somebody is interested, we can open source it right away. There are only like a few things that are like Seznam. Yeah, they're probably only like good for us. We need to like figure out a way how to make it configurable so
For
that
other,
yeah, other users can use it, but it's very like small change needed so that other people can use it.
I
Yeah,
see.
it's possible.
That
Totally.
makes sense. So, so my next question would be, I feel like it's one thing to, like, do all the, get all the technical details right, and then
Mhm.
there's no, one of the most interesting thing I like to do personally is I love to talk about the value that, Cilium is creating for companies, right? Like, for users
Mhm.
in general. So, like, since, migrating, not necessarily migrating, but since including Cilium in like your entire infrastructure, like what has been the value that it has provided, and like what's like how did it change your situation for the better?
Yeah, I mean the biggest part is the cluster mesh. You know, we have so many components that need to communicate with each other, and with cluster mesh, you can like easily enforce the policies. And I mean, it's so good to be able to do that with the label based identities. I mean, the biggest like the biggest thing that we saw as the benefit is that, I mean, if you add well, basically if you run out of IPs in your Kubernetes cluster, you just need to like add a new subnet, right? So if you are on the OpenStack side, you manage a database and you are like enforcing policies who can talk to my database, and you use, in the classic OpenStack you have security groups. So you insert all the CIDRs, all the subnets, all the IPs that can talk to your database. But
Yeah,
if somebody, it's a different team, different team manages your Kubernetes cluster, and if they add a new CIDR for like hundreds of other pods, for thousands pods, you need to keep track of that. You somehow need to like talk to the other team, guys, let me know if you add a new CIDR, and I will make the changes and allow access to my to this database. And I mean, why would you ever want to do that, if you
yeah,
can?
it's
That's the
stressful.
that's the thing why Cilium is so awesome. You don't care. I mean, you allow access from, let's say, K8s, Kubernetes dash app client, and that's
And
all you
that's
care
it.
about. And you
Yeah,
can, yeah, of course, you can specify namespace, you can specify cluster, but that's all you care about, and you don't care how many IPs are added, how many subnets are added to the Kubernetes cluster. You don't care. You just like, you're fine with just the three labels, and that's the biggest thing, I think.
I see. In terms of like the load balancing aspect of things, like how is the experience so far?
It's great. I mean, we saved a lot of nodes. I don't even keep track of how many missions we saved, but basically with the standalone XDP L4 load balancer, we can handle the production traffic with just a couple of nodes. And before that, we had like tens of nodes, which were like fully CPU utilized. And now we're fine with just a few nodes, which all of them consume like up to 0.5% of CPU. And I
Wow.
mean, they don't do anything. I mean, everything happens so fast in the XDP layer. Then, I mean, you could have like other tens of other applications running on the same node, and it would be fine because it all happens so fast, and we saved a lot of money. So that's the second, like the biggest value that Cilium provided us. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I would also like relate that in terms of your business, like I mean, it has also saved money for the business, right? Your operational cost has like reduced drastically.
Mm. Yeah, so
Okay.
the nodes we saved, we were able to move them to the OpenStack, for example, to the Kubernetes, and that was the great thing about it. I mean, that was possible. It's Yeah, it's very good. Yep.
Awesome. So let's talk about a bit more about observability. Do you use Hubble?
Yes, well, for the infrastructure, we usually are fine with the Cilium monitor command, which is available in each Cilium agent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
of course, our users in Kubernetes, they use Hubble, and that's so great that you have the observability, because previously with Calico, if something was blocked, what you did was, I mean, you do trace route, you find out the server or where the traffic is being blocked, and you SSH to it, and you run, I don't know, TCP dump. You just somehow do
Yeah.
these debugging things, and then you find out, okay, it's IP tables, like wrong security groups. And I mean, I
You
that's
don't miss it. You don't miss it.
yeah, I don't miss it. No, no, not at all. I mean, with Hubble, it's so much better, And also with the Cilium monitor, it's the same, right? Hubble is only nicer. It has the UI, and
Yeah.
it's great for the users. But yeah, for me myself as the infrastructure engineer, we usually are interested in just one part. You usually end up with debugging more things, right? You don't just do like Cilium monitor and everything is solved, right? No, you usually take a look at the BPF maps, and you somehow like debug a lot of different places. So for us, for the infrastructure part, the Cilium monitor is the great choice.
Nice. Guys. Yeah, I personally like Hubble because of, like, the UI, the service maps, the flow logs. You could see
Yeah.
them in a much more defined way. I mean, we do not have to stick with TCP dump. I don't think anybody likes to look at TCP dump logs. I don't think anybody likes to look at. So I think that's like the major benefit for me for Hubble. Like, that entire developer experience is just like really, really good. And I've seen situations where a lot of companies have said really, really good things about, like, Hubble and like the benefits they've been getting, and it's equally the same for you. So like my next question would be, so for your current setup, yes, what Cilium version are you using? Is there like a reason why you're using that particular version?
Uh, so yeah, for the Cilium, you mean the what features are we using?
Yeah, no, what version? Like, what version of Cilium are you
What
currently
version?
using?
Yeah, 1.15.5.
Ah, nice. That's really recent. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah, it's pretty recent, but we were waiting for the multiple IPAM. That was we needed that, or our use. It's usually that our users, our developers, come to us and ask for, guys, we want this feature, when it's gonna be available, and we're like, okay, that's pretty new, but I mean, as long as we test it and see if it works, yeah, sure, let's deploy it. So we ended up, I mean, you get the minor updates, right, with
yeah.
each stable release, and we can say with 1.15 it's pretty stable, and most of the issues we had was the environment. If you're using it uh, just like everybody else is using it in Kubernetes, you
Yeah.
usually are fine. Everything runs as expected, but sometimes with small tweaks we do to get it working for example, in the OpenStack, and if you use a lot of features, you can get into like pretty awkward situations when something doesn't work and you don't know how to debug it. But good thing is that it's open source, and it's only gonna take a while to like understand it, and you will, at the end, you will like figure it out, right? And then there is the community where everybody helps, and that's great. So
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the Cilium community a bit, because I mean, majority of folks watching right now are from the Cilium community. Like, how has been your experience like interacting with the Cilium community? Like, in terms of like maybe if you have questions, if you want certain features, like how's been the experience overall?
I mean, the best. I don't think there is like a better community than the Cilium one, because I mean, we had a lot of issues. You know, we started with the 1.10 Cilium, maybe 1.11, uh, and you always had like some issues. You know, if you use like all the features you can possibly think of, you know, you use cluster mesh, use both the Cilium network policies, Cilium cluster wide network policies. You use like the BGP, you know, now the multiple IPAM, you standalone XDP layer for load balancer, and you combine a host firewall, you know, and you combine everything there is. I mean, uh, with multiple combinations, yeah, a lot of different issues can arise, you know. So
Yeah.
with each issue, where we asked the community for, or the maintainers for help, uh, we always had someone that would help us figure it out. So we are very thankful for this community. I mean, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I personally think the same, and this is not because I'm part of the community, or this is not because I help out the community. You know, I got into the Seznam community not like less than 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
what has baffled me the most is how kind everybody is. Like, you know, regardless of the issue you are having, like there's always somebody that would be willing to speak to you about it or speak about it. Especially in the Cilium Slack, I think like that's like a very very big, you know, big value of like, you know, the Cilium community, and that's what has also helped the project grow. I mean, the project is
Mhm.
now graduated, and it's very very widely used. So that's like, I think, one of the major benefits, and I'm so glad to hear it from like, you know, someone else, and like also experiencing the same thing that I personally have been experiencing too. So
Yeah,
my
I mean,
yeah, go on.
yeah, about the community. I mean, just today, you know, I was debugging something with in Cilium. So I didn't understand why something happening, and I asked a quick, it was, you know, quick question, guys. Do I understand correctly how this works? And we ended up having a thread with 50 replies. You know, and Marcel and Marco replied to me and invested like at least half an hour, both of them, and you know, that's the community. That's what we
Yeah,
love.
it's such a beautiful thing to see. So like, Cilium 1.16 is coming out sometime this year. Are you looking forward to like any specific feature, and hoping that like something from it?
Of course, I am. Yeah, I mean, we love the, you know, all the benchmarking, all the new things, the cutting edge things, and I can't wait for the Netkit devices. You know,
Yes,
because
NetKit, yes,
some
yes.
of, you know, from the Daniel, because some of our services are very latency strict. So we have like very big expectations from the Netkit, and can't wait for it to be available. Yes, because some of the services, because they are so strict on the latencies, they need to have like 2-3 millisecond latency between components is like maximum for them. So, you know, if you if you have like one cluster and next cluster in a second DC, I mean, it, every millisecond counts. So they can either like run it on a bare metal right next to each other, or use the cloud, you know, in our case OpenStack and Kubernetes, and with each like feature that can lower the latency for us, is we can't wait for it. So yeah, looking forward to this specific feature.
Yeah, if you're looking for like a deep dive into like what to expect from the Netkit devices, there was the Cilium episode, Echo episode 141 was around the Netkit
Okay,
devices. Yeah, so the
okay, I
episode before
missed
this
missed
one,
that one.
yeah,
Okay.
with Daniel and Liz, and they went in depth, and there was a demo on like, you know, the Netkit devices. So if you are interested in it, if you want to learn more, you can just watch that particular episode. So my penultimate question would be, what do you plan to do to your setup like next or in the future?
Probably go all in Cilium, to just like replace or disassemble all the old clusters with Calico and go for Cilium everywhere. I mean, we have been running it for a while in as you heard, a lot of different environments, and we managed to figure out all the, or maybe most of the issues we figured out, and what's remaining is like small things. So there's no reason why we should stick with like multiple different networking
Yeah,
solutions if we can use the one we love the most. So
I
yeah,
see.
the natural step would be just to have Cilium everywhere, on bare metal, on OpenStack, on Kubernetes, and yeah.
I see. So one question. We didn't talk about your bare metal setup a lot. So yeah, like how has been the experience running Cilium on bare metal? Because I know a lot of times a lot of people actually run Cilium in Kubernetes, which is as a CNI, and which is
Yeah.
pretty very normal. But we see companies use. We see end users use Cilium in bare metal. Like, what has been the experience been compared to like traditional bare metal networking tools?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's very similar to how we run Cilium in OpenStack, except there is no need for some plugin. You just run the Cilium agent either directly on the bare metal as a binary, but then you need to download, install all the CLang, all the LLVM stuff, low level things you
Yeah.
usually don't understand or don't want to understand. Then you are fine with running it in a Docker. That's what we do. So we have like bare metal hosts where we run Cilium agent in a Docker. So all the
Ah, I see.
dependencies are taken care of, and
Yeah,
you are fine with just that. And to be able to, well, usually we use that for enforcing the policies, right? And to
yeah,
be able to connect that to the cluster mesh we have between OpenStack and Kubernetes. So we also connect these bare metal hosts, which can be like managed into a cluster of bare metal nodes, and we connect that into cluster mesh. So for these bare metal groups, we spawn a Kubernetes API server. So we initially started with K3s, which is like very simple way to
yeah.
to run a
One
Kubernetes
Kubernetes.
API server without any workers, just to be able to like apply CNPs or CCNPs,
Yeah,
and the agents running on these bare metal nodes can connect and to watch for, for events, for any changes in the CCNPs, and they will enforce it, and again, like compile the right BPF programs, apply that to the entry point to the bare metal node, and enforce those policies there. So the great thing is that you can in all of these environments you can apply the same policy. If you understand how to write CCNP or CNP,
yeah,
you can use the same structure, the same things in all these different environments. And that's the great part. You don't need like to learn how to write like net filter IP tables rules. You just write like Cilium network policy. You can even use the editor online, and
yeah.
you
There's a
just
policy.
apply that to the K3s or the Cube API server, and all these Cilium agents on the bare metal nodes. We'll watch that, and we'll like make sure that everything is applied correctly. And then, if you are interested in the cluster mesh, you only spawn a etcd cluster for each bare metal cluster, let's say, and you share that with the whole cluster mesh, and you're like super happy. You share all the identities across, and that's
Good.
what that's what we use. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So the bare metal, open and OpenStack, and then Kubernetes are all in a cluster mesh, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I see. I see. That makes so
Yeah,
much
so
sense.
they all share like all the identities. So not only the endpoint identities for each pod, for each VM, but they also have like the node based identities, which is
Mhm.
pretty new feature. Uh, and you can in the CMPs where you have like from entities, usually from endpoints to endpoints, there was a new part which is added just now, and it's from nodes to nodes. And we needed that feature because with from entities to entities, you can say, okay, allow access from remote node, right? Which means you will allow access from all the nodes, not only in your cluster but in the whole cluster mesh. And now
Nice.
with our environment where you have like clusters which are not uh, they're not just for the one team, they're shared across many different teams. You don't want to like allow access from any node in a cluster mesh, but you want to be specific. So with this from nodes to nodes feature, you can say, okay, allow access from only worker nodes with this label, and that's the good thing we were waiting for to have it like running well on the bare metal hosts, because without that you would need to stick to like from cider to cider or cider sets,
Yeah.
and you would need to specify all the IP address of these bare metal hosts. But why would you do that? You could just say from node, I don't know, worker node with label with some custom label, and you don't care how many nodes are connected to the cluster or removed. You don't need to keep track. So that's the similar thing to what we talked before with the security groups in OpenStack. You don't want to keep track of like adding different subnets, or if some subnet is being added to the remote cluster. You just like allow access from all the nodes with this label and are super happy.
Ah, I see. That sounds really interesting. Because I've always wondered, like, I've not really dug deep into running Cilium on bare metal. So, like at scale, like at that scale, so it sounds quite straightforward. I mean, at
Yeah,
the
it's
high level.
Yeah, I mean, you all need to figure out which flags to enable. It's you don't have usually like Helm chart which you can install, but you
Okay.
you just like run it manually. So you do Docker run and you specify all the flags, which is the same thing that's in the config map in Kubernetes. So you just like take that, put that as their Docker run flags, and you just need to figure out the right ones to get your bare metal running.
I see. So,
Yeah.
like, how do upgrades happen? Like, whenever it's in the Cilium operation you want to upgrade to, do you have to download the binary and like how does that work?
Yeah, as I said, we have some custom tweaks in the Cilium repo. So we usually, when a new release is published in the GitHub, for example 1.5.6, you just check out to that branch and you cherry pick our changes, and then you do like make Docker Cilium image, and you just like distribute that to all of our nodes one by one. We use Ansible to manage the bare
Oh,
metal
nice,
nodes,
nice.
and that's very easy with that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. I think like that's like most of the questions I have for you today. So if you want to like ask any question, if you have any question from 100, this would be like the best time to ask because we have like less than 10 minutes to go. And also there's like a bunch of things that 100 have done to talk about what and how they've been using Cilium. So there's a very very interesting article of like how they've been able to utilize the Cilium layer 4 load balancer on the Cilium.io website. If you go to the isovalent echo repo, you can find all these links there. Just in case you want to take a look at it. Also, at last year's eBPF Summit, 100 was kind enough to also give a talk. So you can also watch that if you need more, like, in-depth and visual explanation to how they're using Cilium. Then at yeah, they also did have a talk at KubeCon, right? Like at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
It
also
should be.
yes, and fortunately enough, there's a physical case, like a written case study that, like, of how Seznam is using Cilium, that's going to be out sometime next week on the CNCF website. You can always just check the Cilium project on the CNCF case studies page just to be sure that it is out. And of course, when it's out, I'm going to personally share it across the Cilium social media channel, so you can keep an eye on that. So one more thing is, if you have questions that you want to ask 100, we have a few minutes to go that I think 100 will be kind enough to answer. So if not, then we can just, give you back 10 minutes of your time if you allocated 1 hour for the call. So let's just wait 5 more minutes, or no, a few. Okay. See, let me just confirm if there are any questions that we are not seeing here. No, 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 I don't think there's any question that we. I think you explained it so good that people don't need to ask questions because they understood exactly what you said. So I think that's 100 points for you.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, if anybody has questions later, just ask me on Slack. It's
Yeah, 100 is also on the Cilium Slack if you have any questions. So that's it. Okay, without anything. So I think one more thing is, before we go, there's currently CFP opens that are related to the Cilium community. The eBPF Summit is open. CFP is open until the 17th of July. There's also the program community application. It's also open. So please do so, and like submit talks if you're using Cilium anywhere you want, the community to know about it. Also, if you're going to be at KubeCon and you would like to like speak at Cilium eBPF Day, there's also a CFP open until the 14th of July. So please submit the CFP. And with that, that will be this. We've come to the end of the stream. Thank you so much, Andre, for talking to the community today. We really, really appreciate it. And see you all
Thanks
next
for
time.
having me. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.